right, this is the jpeg2RAW podcast, show number 44. And tonight is just Tim and I. Kathleen has the night off. She has a lot of family in town, so she's going to have the night off. And unfortunately, our guest, Mitch, had an emergency come up, and he's had to cancel. We will reschedule with him shortly. We had some open dates coming up in August, and I think maybe one in July, Tim, that maybe we can get him there. I'm not sure about the July date. But we do have a couple open dates in August, and then, of course, beyond that we'll try and work Mitch in. Mitch is if you have not seen his work, go to his website. We have it on our Facebook page where you can find it. But Mitch is a fantastic landscape photographer, black and white landscape. He also does some storm chasing. And he has been referred to, not by himself, I don't know if he would call himself this, but by others, as a modern-day Ansel Adams. I mean, his work is really stunning. So if you're into black and white at all, be looking out for that, and when we'll reschedule Mitch and get him on the show. So tonight, Tim, just you and me. Kathleen off, and she even told me she's going to be off 2 weeks in July. It's like she's like a part-time host.
Yeah, really.
I think it's time we look for a backup host. So if you are interested, now the beauty of Kathleen is she provides balance to us. She's one, a female. We don't just have the guys here. Two, she's a Canon shooter. Tim is a Sony, I'm Nikon, so we got great balance there. And she is, unfortunately, a Mac user too.
Yes, that's the bad part.
Yeah, so that does provide balance there too, because now we get the PC side and the Mac side. So that provides a lot of balance.
And she's also a great talker.
She's a great talker, and she is a great photographer. We like to pick on her a lot, but she's a great photographer and stays very, very busy. But from time to time, both her and you will need time off. You got a baby coming due.
Yes, anytime Trisha's due 4 weeks from today. So Jack was 2 weeks early. You can imagine at some point July you might be by yourself.
Yeah, and you know what? You might be the harder of the two to fill in, because people might wonder what is Tim doing, and he is taking great notes during the show, and that's a skill that not everybody has. But I think maybe it's time to start getting some people who are interested in doing this thing as like backups. So if you are interested, email me at podcast@jpeg2RAW.com. And Tim obviously would need some time off when his wife has a baby, and just regular time off for vacations and that kind of stuff. And Kathleen will too. So Tim, before we're gonna later in the show we're gonna open up to the Facebook group, but before we do that, we wanted to just go over a few things, talk about some recent stuff. One, let's talk again about Adobe Creative Cloud, because I didn't bring my credit card down here with me tonight because I knew if I did I would buy it tonight. But I think it's just a matter of time, whether it's tonight or this weekend, that I'm going to go ahead and buy it. And here's the basic math I'm looking at.
Really, because you got to really correct me on that, because everything I saw last week, I did not see it being beneficial. So good to know that you're an accountant and you really crunched the numbers. You had a week to do it.
Yeah, and I have created that little spreadsheet that Kathleen was joking about last week. That was a nothing, but I created another one. I'm trying to do a post on it, but there is a lot of moving parts here. So here's what I basically looked at. I have CS5. I've been thinking about going to CS6. I would love to have Adobe Premiere, which is the video editing software. Right. And there's a few other programs in there I would like to have, like After Effects, because our intro here that we just did, I'm not too happy with it. I really would rather have a better intro.
Well, Kathleen said she's going to improve it. I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, Kathleen says a lot. It just doesn't get done. She also was going to create us a better graphic. That hasn't get done. She's busy doing other things. I don't know.
She should not show up, because we really beat on her.
That's right. If you wonder why we beat on Kathleen, she's not here to defend herself. If she doesn't want us to beat on her, she should show up. But anyway, so there's all those other packages I would get with it. But let's just say all I wanted was Photoshop. What is the upgrade price? $199?
Yes, I just saw that today. $199.
$199. So I can get the student teacher discount for the Creative Cloud. So that's $30 a month. That means basically it would be about 7 months, a little bit short of 7 months. And I forgot to bring this live.
To get to the upgrade price of it, correct.
Yeah, so it'd be about 7 months to get us live I mean, about 7 months to the break even. So in 7 months, you've paid $210 versus the $199 you have to pay up front to get just Lightroom. I mean, just Photoshop. Now, if you want any of the other things, since I don't own Adobe Premiere and I don't own, there's another one, the audio editing one.
Yeah, I know which one. Audition, is it? No,
Audition, yeah, Audition.
Audition.
I don't own that one, so I'd have to buy that one. And if I wanted After Effects, I'd have to buy that. So all those things, and then considering that you got to upgrade basically every 2 years. Because remember what Adobe did? They announced that if you don't own the current version, you don't get the upgrade price.
Right.
I think that starts with CS6. I
Now,
think
they didn't retract that ever? I wasn't sure if they had retracted that.
I've never heard of a retraction. I think that was part of their plan to do that, so that when it came out with the cloud, it would push you toward the cloud. Because if you,
Right,
you know,
because now you're forced to either update to the most previous version or the most current version to get the next version. You can no longer wait 3 versions to say, I'm going to upgrade, because now you're not going to get that.
What version are you on?
I have CS5.
Okay. Yeah, I generally skip 1 or 2 versions. So, that would hit me. I would end up having to either upgrade every 2 years and pay the $200. Plus, I got Lightroom. Now, Lightroom right now is not part of the Creative Cloud, but they're saying it's coming soon as part of the cloud. I don't know why it can't be part of the cloud. All you got to do is just download the thing.
Right. Little click of a button for them.
Yeah, so I don't understand that. But, so there's going to be, let's say, $80. So you got $80, you got $200 for the Photoshop. If you're going to get any of the other products, you got that. It adds up to, I think, as long as you can get the student teacher discount, I think it's pretty rock solid. It's the way to go.
Well, now I'd have to look for myself. I don't know what the qualifications on the student teacher discount is going to be, because it used to be higher education to get the Photoshop. Then I think they may have relaxed it on the Photoshop. And now that my wife is no longer going to be a teacher, because she's, as she puts it, retiring for the 2nd time after she has the baby, the only person I'll have in school will be Jack, who's only 10 years old, going into 5th grade.
Yeah. Now I think once you buy it, you are in, so you won't have to reprove it every year. I don't think.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
That's something that is. Now your boys are still young enough where you probably get several years out of it anyway, but.
I've not seen for sure what the rules on that is. If you get a student teacher discount and then later you're no longer a student or a teacher, whether you can continue that. So, I haven't seen anything that says you got to reprove that every year.
Well, I got to imagine Adobe's going to be looking at that, saying that's a difference of $20 a month, $240 a year, times how many people that are going to try to get by on it that way. They're probably going to require it. I would think.
I think when you come to doing the non-student teacher discount, now you're talking, what is the price?
Was it $50 a month?
$50 a month, yeah. And here, I think I have it where we can look at it. Whoops. Not like that, you can't. All right, I'm going to have to grab the screen a little differently, so hold on a second. Screen region. Here we go. So you can see that it's, $49 a month for the, and hey, Steven out there in chat, $49 a month, $49.99. So let's say $50 if you're not a student or teacher.
So, but in looking at that, you have up there the intro offer, and that's for the qualified customers. That's where I'm wondering now. It says intro offer. That's not saying almost a permanent. That I think is going to be, you're going to have to prove that you're still a student.
Well, that's a different plan. The intro offer, I think, is to current users current owners of the Creative Suite. So there's Creative Suites.
Right.
If you're a current Creative Suite owner, you get like an intro thing, a 1-year subscription for the $29.99. The student teacher thing is a whole different thing. So I think I click here.
Okay. Well, I didn't see. I assume that was part of the same thing.
Yeah. So here's the student teacher thing. I don't know how well you can see it, but it says $29.99 per month for student teacher.
Huh. Career readiness, an attractive price, starting at just with a 1-year commitment.
Yeah, all these require a 1-year commitment except for the There's a plan that's like $75 a month without the 1 year commitment.
Well, you know what? At the price though of 30, you're right. At $30 a month times a year, it's 360. You're talking between Photoshop and Lightroom are already 280 approximately.
Hmm.
So now if you throw in any other program after that, you've now surpassed that amount.
Yeah. And now, people ask, so what is the cloud part? Because am I running these in the cloud? I think we kind of talked about this last week, so I don't want to dwell on it too much. Although I'm sure I'll talk about it again when I buy it. No, the software resides on your computer, and you can have it on, I think they say a main computer and a backup computer. So let's say you own a PC and a Mac, and this comes with both versions, PC and Mac. If you own a PC and a Mac, you can have one copy on one copy on the other. I think what they call a backup is you can't be using both copies at the same time. I don't know how they monitor that, but that's basically what they're saying. With it comes online storage of about 20 gig, or actually 20 gig, and some web hosting and some other things like that, where you can publish your work up on an Adobe run web hosting site. Now that may not it doesn't appeal to me. I already have my own website, but maybe to somebody else. But the 20 gig, you can use that to, let's say you and I wanted to share files. I can save, a Photoshop file out on my thing, share it with you. You can pull it up with all the layers attached, do your editing, and then save it back out there. And now I have it with your edits and all the layers attached.
Well, definitely that $30 price is a much more attractive and feasible thing. $50 a month is just, that's a tough pill to swallow.
That is. And like I said, I'm working on a post that has a spreadsheet, and that's the thing, is trying to work out the deals, because there's a lot of stuff in that, and I wanted to go to where you can see what all is in that. So there's a lot of programs in that you may not be interested in. So, if you got Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, Lightroom coming soon, they say, InDesign, Muse, I don't even know what Muse is.
Never even heard of it.
Dreamweaver,
I've heard of that.
Flash Professional, Acrobat Pro, Fireworks, Premiere Pro. That's one I really wanted. That's the video editing.
Now, have you ever used Premiere Pro?
I've used Premiere Elements.
Yeah, I've used it, and they say it's a whole different animal.
Premiere Pro?
It's really difficult. It's very professional based. It's like trying to learn Photoshop. I mean, I've used Premiere Elements, but
well, I would like to try.
I knew you were going to say that. Now, I wonder, what they do have this here. What happens if you get it for the year, you commit, and then you decide not to renew? Do you lose?
Yes.
You do lose it. Okay. It's not like you can do it like a TechNet subscription from Microsoft where you get to keep the keys.
Yeah, no, this is not like that, unfortunately. So, and you got to think about it. I think this has more in it than the Adobe Creative Suite Master Collection. So the Master Collection, I think, is something like $2,800, $3,000, something like that. Yeah. So this has more in it than that. So you got to think, if you were to just do 1 year for $360, they're not going to give you a $3,000 product.
Why not? I see nothing wrong with that.
But what you could do is, at that point, you would have to go and buy the full version.
Right, of whatever you wanted then.
So what you have to look at is, so let's say you're a current owner of Photoshop, and you do the Creative Suite, and a year later you go, you know what, I'm not going to do that. Well, you still have your original license for that Photoshop, and you just have to get an upgrade to bring you to the current version.
Right.
And you spent that 1 year. If you don't own Photoshop, then rather than paying $6.99, and actually you're getting the extended version, which is $9.99, instead of paying a $6.99, you would get it for $360 for that year, plus everything else that came with it. So I'm just back to, I think it's, for me, for the $30 a month, it's a great deal.
You know what, and in a way, it's also good if, let's say you want to try out software for that year, and maybe you don't want to, at the end of it, you don't want to, maybe you just want to buy one piece of that software. Maybe it is worth it. But I mean, for myself, I look at it, I use Lightroom probably 98%, and then 2% Photoshop.
Hmm.
I use Premiere Elements. Am I going to really upgrade to Premiere? And do I need any? I don't even know all the software that Adobe has. So I'd really have to look at it and say, what do I need? What am I going to use it for? And is it really worth it for me?
And that's really the key question: is what do you need there? If all you need is Lightroom, this is not a good deal. If you already own Photoshop and you're really not interested in any of the other software, this probably still is not a good deal, especially if you can't get the student teacher pricing. This only really becomes a good deal if you can, if there's a lot of stuff in here you want and you're already buying the master collection. If
Right.
you're already doing that, then this is probably a good deal even at the $50 a month.
Right. Then it's probably a no-brainer.
Yeah, if you want Photoshop, Lightroom, and maybe one or two other things, and you can get the student teacher discount, then this is probably a good deal.
Right.
But anyway, that's enough of that. I'm gonna try and put out a post that will do as much as I can to summarize that. So before we start inviting people in, I got one other thing to talk about. So I've been shooting my son's swimming team. And one of the things I really am liking doing is there's generally a photographer from the other team there too. And we even have a newspaper guy come in every once in a while. So I will try and find some time to talk with the other photographer. And 2 weeks ago I was talking to the guy, and he actually has his own photo business on the side. I think he has a full-time job, but he has a photo business. So he was doing some really cool stuff. He had an Nikon D700. He was using the flash that's built into the camera as a commander. He had an SB900 in his hand with a bungee cord strapped to it, so he didn't have to hold it. It was just kind of there, and he would just hold it out. Let's see, you can't see me very well, but he would hold it out, have his camera over here, and so he had to flash, off axis and take photos like that and just flash people, even when it was bright sunlight. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. He's probably getting some pretty good shots. So we compared notes and how we're doing different things, and I told him I'm shooting in manual mode, and he goes, dude, how are you doing that? You have to change your settings all the time. And I said, well, here's what I'm doing. I'm using spot metering. I spot metered off of a subject, and I have to do this every now and then because the light is ever changing. It's toward the end of the day. Using spot metering. I set manual mode to the aperture I want, which I'm going wide open, f2.8. And then I am setting shutter speed to where I want, let's say 1/800 or to 1/500, something like that, depending on the light. And then the variable I'm letting, because you remember there's 3 components to exposure: aperture, shutter, and ISO.
Correct.
I'm letting ISO be the variable. So I turned on auto ISO, and on my D2X, modern cameras have much more capability than mine, but my D2X lets it go anywhere from 100 to 800 to stay in that range. The thing you got to be careful with is if at 100 it's still it needs more shutter speed, then you could end up blowing out the image because it wasn't able to get the ISO low enough. So you do have to pay a little bit of attention. You can't just fire away. But that that worked out really well. I was getting ISOs that I've never seen before, like 140, 125. Those I don't even know if I can do those settings in the camera.
I'm just looking now if I even have auto in oh no, I do.
Auto
Okay.
ISO.
Yeah, when I shoot in manual, I wasn't sure if I had auto ISO.
Yeah, manual. And did you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so it's not completely manual because you can keep it on a fixed ISO, but you can change to auto ISO, and now you've got your aperture and your shutter speed fixed, and you're letting the ISO move around.
Yeah, that's so you're actually almost not even control. Well, I mean, you can because you can set, even though you're in manual, you're not in manual in a sense.
Yes, this is a manual mode. This is basically using manual mode to control 2 of the 3 things.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to try that because I always set my ISO to generally either 200 or depending on the light up to 400. This weekend on those pictures I took at the train station at 1 in the morning, it was I think I had it set to 1600 just to get a little extra light in.
Yeah. So this guy had never heard of doing that either, and I'm sure a lot of people out there who are listening have, but somebody else may not have, because what he was doing is he was setting a shutter speed because he wanted to make sure he had enough to stop the action, and he was letting the aperture move around.
Right.
And to be honest, I generally do not like to let the aperture move around because I like to set my depth of field to the way I like it. So a lot of times I will, if I'm going to shoot wide open or maybe a couple stops down, I want the aperture set. That's just my preference.
Well, that's I think when I'm doing the soccer photography, I'm more likely to set the aperture down to an area where I want it in the shutter priority. I'm not so concerned with.
We're getting
Are you there, Mike?
Yeah, we're breaking up a little bit. I don't know what's going on. I hope my computer's not about to crash.
That was the first time we've had a stutter in a long time.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's keep going. As
I was saying, I'm more likely to set my aperture priority to set the aperture versus setting a shutter priority.
Wait, so
I'm more likely to set it to an f4 or something during soccer versus setting my shutter speed to 1/500th or whatever.
Right.
And let the camera decide the shutter speed then.
I generally do that too, and then just watching the shutter speed, make sure it doesn't get too low. And then if it did, I would manually bump up the ISO to give me a little more shutter. Yeah, that's what I generally did in soccer too. And that would probably work here too. I just for whatever reason now you guys convinced me to shoot manual. That's all I want to do.
There you go.
I'm kind of I'm simple, so you get me on the one track, and I'm just going to stay down that track. But I'm loving the not being on back button focus. The images are coming out great. That 70-200 at 2.8 is just fantastic. All right, and it's I guess one update is I'm still in contact with Expo Imaging. We're getting closer and closer to getting a date with those guys. I really hope we can work that out. Those are the people who make Expo disc.
I'm actually seriously considering buying one.
Yeah, this show's going to start costing me money.
Yeah, in different ways.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we have had a number of listeners who are remembering as they go to buy something on Amazon to head to our page and use one of our ads, and then go on Amazon and buy something, because we're getting a little bit of traffic there. And like I've said many times in the group, and I think I've said on here before too, they only pay you got to get to a certain level, then they pay you out. And on both Amazon and on Google AdSense, we're getting close to that first payout number. It's just like $100, and we'll turn that right back around and do a giveaway. So we got to start thinking about what we're going to give away. One of the things I'm thinking about is maybe something like an Expo disc or a how do you say this? Wacom tablet.
Oh yeah, Wacom.
Wacom tablet.
I think that's it. I used to call it the Wacom, and then I heard it. I think it's Wacom is the way they pronounce it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe a Wacom tablet or an Expo disc, something like that. We may put something out in the Facebook group and ask them what they think. So continue, if you want to buy something from Amazon, please go to our site and do that. So Tim, what do you think about we open it up to the Facebook group?
That is fine.
Okay.
I don't think that would be a problem. Hopefully we get a couple of people in. I think Stephen may join us.
All right. So if you're out there and you're a member of our Facebook group, I am about to put the link in the group, and hopefully if you've done a Hangout before, all you've got to do is click on the link and you'll come right in. If you have not done that, you may have to do some setup on the Google Hangout side. So give me a second. Okay. And we've talked about doing Hangouts, official Hangouts. This is the night for the normal show when we have a guest and that kind of stuff. But we're talking about doing just Hangouts where we do stream them to maybe YouTube, so it's recorded, and do that kind of thing. And we just have a general Hangout, but not have it as a podcast. Doing something like that once a week. It's sort of like a supplement to the forums, because it's so much easier to talk and chat in an environment like this. And I'm close to saying that Wednesday night needs to be that night. It seems like every night other than Tuesday has some issue where I can't do it. The problem with Wednesday, and the reason why I'm still considering it, is Wednesday is the night where if I don't finish the production of the show tonight, which I generally cannot, it carries over into Wednesday night, and I finish production on Wednesday night. So kind of, if we do a Hangout Wednesday night, then that cuts into my edit time. So, but I think that maybe Wednesday night, I might be able to swing both. So anyway, if you're out there, I know that Elizabeth wanted to join us. Hopefully she can join us. She got a new D800. Stephen has not done a Google Plus thing yet, so you have to sign up and get that going. It's pretty straightforward and should be pretty quick. We'll just hang out here for a little bit.
And it's definitely better than Skype. You know, I still been doing a little testing on that app for the iPad between Lightroom and this weekend it's called photosmithapp.com.
Yeah.
And I actually like it. I was up in my in-laws. I took all the pictures with my camera. I obviously don't have my main computer with me while I'm up in Connecticut, so I downloaded all the pictures into the application. I put all my keywords on everything, put all the titles, did all the little maintenance things that I would normally do when I get home, as well as star it and delete any of the pictures I wanted to delete. Came home, synced it to Lightroom, and right there, all the pictures were in there. So far, I'm starting to like this, and probably going to wind up recommending it to people if they have an iPad and use Lightroom.
Since you brought up iPad and Lightroom, and this is a photography show, so I don't want to geek out too much. But last night Microsoft had a big announcement.
Yeah, apparently, and it was very well hidden.
Yeah, very, very well hidden. They kept that pretty well quiet, even though we were speculating that's what it was. But they did a great job of keeping it hidden. And it's 2 tablets, and they will look very, very similar to each other, but they have some distinctive differences. One of them is what they call Windows RT, and it would be comparable to the current tablets that are out there. Then the next one is Windows Pro, Windows 8 Pro, I think is what it's going to run. Both of them run a variation of Windows 8. It will have a Core i5 processor, which, if you don't know what that means, it's basically a fast Intel processor that you can get in, not top-of-the-line laptops, but, maybe second-tier laptops. And have USB 3.0, have a display port, and be able to run full apps. They showed it running Lightroom.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. The cover for it, you think covers the screen, like when you close it, is a keyboard. So you unfold.
I saw that. That is
3 millimeters thick. You open up this thing, the cover.
Wow.
And it is a 3 millimeters thick keyboard. If you flip it around to the back and just use the thing as a tablet, the keyboard knows that it's in that position and shuts itself off. So it doesn't use up battery power. And of course it's a touch thing. But then the keyboard flips, flip back, and now you can type on the keyboard. So I think it's going to be the perfect blend between laptop and tablet. Now, I can't imagine it's going to be cheap. My guess is that's going to be somewhere in the $1,000 range.
They better be a little less than that. They need to keep it below the price of an Apple. Hate to say it.
Well, here's what I think it is the Windows RT is the Apple competitor, and it's going to be priced to compete against the iPad. Because the iPad can't run Lightroom.
No.
So the iPad isn't running a Core i5 processor.
No, this is true.
So I think that that's going to be the competitor to the iPad, and then this thing is going to be a step above that. So, but the crazy thing is, and this is where Microsoft is just, whoever's running that, Steve Ballmer, needs to have his butt kicked. He says that they say that the Windows RT version will come out when Windows 8 comes out, which is rumored to be October, and then the full version of Windows Pro version will be out within 3 months of that. So if you do the math, 3 months of that is what, January?
Yeah, after Christmas.
Idiots. Absolute idiots.
Yeah.
Those dudes, if they
miss this before December 1st, they're idiots.
They should be working round the clock, hiring however many people they got to hire, and have that thing out by Thanksgiving. Hey, Paul.
Hello, Paul.
I don't know if Paul can hear us yet.
Well, we got his face, so to speak.
Yeah. We can't hear you yet, Paul. Tell me, getting a little bit of breathing or wind or something from you.
Oh, I have a fan on behind me.
Oh, okay.
Is it annoying you that bad?
The mic is picking it up. Now it's actually worse.
Of course, because now you
Maybe,
hear it.
maybe your face was blocking it before.
I'll sit here like this.
That's gonna get old quick.
Oh,
Oh, we lost Paul.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, they talked about October for Windows 8, and then they talk about it a little earlier. So I'm not exactly sure when it's going to come out. I've heard July might be the release date. So
Oh, that'd be horrible. Wait, July. Wait, July of
July
next
of
year?
this year. No, July this year. I keep hearing different dates that Windows 8 will be released sooner than October.
Well, if that's the case, if it comes out in July, and this is 3 months afterwards, then the full version, that would be perfect.
Right.
Hello, Stephen.
Hey,
Hello,
what's going
Stephen.
on?
How are you? Stephen, been a long time viewer of the show, long time member of the Facebook group.
There's
And
a-
now he's got a Google Plus account.
Now he's got a
Yep.
Google Plus account.
Mike finally convinced me to get one. Yeah.
So,
Hey,
Stephen, what's up? What's new with you?
guys, stand by 1 second. I'm trying to fix it so the audio will come through my headphones. It's coming
Okay.
to my speakers right now. So
Okay.
just stand by 10
Don't worry,
seconds.
Kathleen does that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a pick on Kathleen. Did you see the outtakes I did last week, Tim?
No, I didn't see him.
Do you not
Oh,
go to
you didn't do it from the.
did you not go to our Facebook page, Tim?
I was there today.
No, you were in the group. I put it on the page. I need to put it,
Goes to show how much I know of Facebook.
I need to put it on the group too. But it was like a 2-minute little video of outtakes, mainly of Kathleen cutting up, a little bit of you, not much of me.
Of course not.
My favorite part though is where Kathleen was doing the devil thing, and you went like that. That was my favorite part.
Yeah. All right, that should do it right there.
And you have light.
Yeah. Sometimes I sit in the dark. Sometimes I turn the light on.
Steve, if you wouldn't mind, move your mic a little bit below your mouth, and it won't pick up as much of the breathing.
Okay, how's that?
Yep, that's much better.
So that's what I used to sound like. Now I know.
Yeah. You know, I've had some people in the past have helped me because I used to do it quite a bit. This does make it easier, the thing I have here, but I used to do that quite a bit too. And you don't realize you're doing it. So now, Stephen, what are you shooting with again?
The Nikon D3100.
D3100. And I think John Stutzman in our Facebook group got a 3200 today. I think it's very, very similar to the 3100. Not a lot of differences. And I'm going to ask this question. I know the answer to it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What do you like to shoot the most?
Like I said, I'll shoot anything, but you usually find pictures of me of, pictures of trains, I know.
Yes, I have noticed that very well, and I'm very jealous.
Yeah.
You know, Tim posted a train-related shot tonight in the Facebook
Yeah,
group.
I saw that earlier. I was looking at that.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm trying to focus more, right now. I'm trying to focus more on portrait work and more into landscapes and all that stuff. But more lately, I've been doing mostly just night exposure stuff, which I've been doing a lot lately. A lot of friends have been helping me out with that.
You've been doing what kind of stuff?
Nighttime long exposures.
Oh yeah, those are pretty cool.
Yeah.
I need to get out and do some of those. Now, how does your D3100 hold up with like noise?
Like I say, as long as you don't raise it like above like 400 ISO or anything really above that, it doesn't get too crazy. But if you crank it up too high, it's outrageous.
And so when you do a long exposure, what would be like a long exposure?
Like I said, I just have it up on the tripod and hook it up to my cable release. Usually throw it on to usually bulb or like 30 seconds or less, and then just let it fire off from there.
Yeah. So when it's on bulb, do you have a release or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Nikon MC DC2, I believe it is.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know what my model is.
Hang on a sec. Here,
Mine's old. I got it from my father-in-law.
let me I got my camera bag right here. I'll show you.
Mine is the MC20.
Yeah. Well, you won't be able to see mine very well, but yeah.
Yeah.
It just hooks onto the side. But
Here's mine.
oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, and I got that from my father-in-law. He when he before he passed away, he gave me a lot of his gear, and
Nice.
most of it, the camera bodies. When I opened them up, he had left the batteries in, and they had corroded all into the cameras, and they
Ooh.
were film cameras, and I wasn't that interested in
Yeah.
film cameras.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, these were good film cameras though, and I would have liked to have been able to keep them, but at that point, I'm not going to pay to get them fixed.
Yeah. Anyways, like I said, I shoot a variety of stuff. In fact, I haven't uploaded the pictures to the group yet, but just the other day, the Raleigh Fire Department had celebrated their 100th anniversary year of service, and downtown Raleigh, they had like a huge parade going on with like a huge parade of like old and modern apparatuses, and so I got a bunch of shots from that. So I will start posting those when I can.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, 102 images edited, all in Lightroom, by the way.
Yeah, so you actually are one of the winners of Lightroom from our contest that we did.
Yeah, too.
How's it?
I love it. It's I use it like
Awesome.
every day.
Once you get used to it, I don't use Photoshop much anymore. We're talking, I think, right before you got into the group today.
I mean, like I guess if I can't work the sharpening on something very well, I'd go into Photoshop. But mostly everything is done in Lightroom now. Ever since I got
Exactly.
it from y'all.
That's how I feel.
Yep. Let me move this down.
Yeah. And that's what I do. I do most of my stuff now. You got Lightroom 3.
Yes.
So if you ever do want to go up to Lightroom 4, you can. I think it's like $79 or something like that. But there's a few things in Lightroom 4 that I use. It's not a huge upgrade, but I do like some of the features.
Right.
But like you, I do most of my stuff in Lightroom, and I rarely jump out into Photoshop.
Yeah. Like I say, it's a great program. I'm still trying to learn the last little bit of it, but it's easy to use and very user friendly.
Yeah. Well, I plan on. I need to send all the winners of all our contests an email, and ask them for like a 1-sentence quote on what it was like to win, and put it on a page. Stephen Riley says blank, and put that there, and have in each and then also each person who gave us something to give away, because we've had Crystal and Rachel from the Photoshop girls, I forget the name of that group. Photoshop Actions.
I can't honestly remember.
Rachel Brinke has given us something. Sarah Cornish gave us something. And then I know one of the ladies is coming up, Stacy, is going to give us some stuff too. So we've had a number of things. Oh, and then Scott, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name because I'm going to mess it up. He's the one who got us to contact with On1. We gave away On1 software.
That was a while ago. That seems like decades ago already.
I know. We had a good streak there where we're doing one giveaway a month, and we've kind of, those were the ones where somebody didn't give us something. I had to pay for that out of my pocket, and I can't do that forever.
But yeah, that was probably receiving Lightroom from y'all. That was quite a huge honor. I was really shocked.
Well, I was glad you won. It's a random drawing.
Yeah.
But I was glad that you won, and another lady won with you.
Yep.
So that was good. Well, there was a lady in our group. I was hoping she'd come in. She said she would be able to come in. Elizabeth, who got a D800 today, and I was hoping she can come in and give us what she thought about it. She even posted, what did she say here? She said that there's a couple of areas where she realized the camera may not be for everyone, and the D800 is that 36 megapixel.
Yeah.
So you're right. It may not be for everyone, but and she's only had it for a little while here. But I would like to hear what she had to say in that little bit she's had it.
Yeah, it's a nice looking camera, but I doubt I'll upgrade to it. At least not right now.
Well, it is $3,000.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that money to spend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Tim, what how is your soccer shooting going?
Our season is over. It went very well. My shooting went well. I can't say so much for our soccer season. It was a very disappointing season.
Yeah.
Let's put
Well,
it this way: after 9 games, in the ninth game, we scored our second and third goal.
that's
So you
that,
cannot win games if you don't score.
that makes for a long season.
Yes.
So what outside of soccer season, what do you like to shoot?
Mainly family. That's other soccer's got a lot of family pictures, and obviously when I go to Disney, that's a huge one. But
Right. Well, you know what's happening in 2 days. What's happening in 2 days?
21st, I don't know.
You're never going to guess.
And not the
And,
summer.
and
No, that's summer solstice is today, I think.
2 days is actually the 1 year anniversary of the show.
Oh, is it 2 days now?
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't have anything planned special for it. But 2 days in 2 days is the 1 year anniversary for the show when we had Jenny and Kristen on. And now that I have video, back then we did not have video for the first three shows. We did not have video. Tim's show, I think, was the first one with video. Show number 4. But for the first 3, we didn't have video. And now that I have video, those two say they will never come back. They'll never come on. And Paul, who came in earlier, had to duck out. I don't have a webcam or a microphone set up. Yeah, you would definitely have to have those set up to get in here. It doesn't have to be a headset. That does help reduce the noise. Some of our guests have come from just a webcam on a laptop. That's generally not as good, but it will work. But you will need some type of video device and some type of a way to hear us. And Paul, if you're still out there, don't worry. We do this we do this once a week. We don't always open it up to the Facebook group, but we'll be having more hangouts in the future, and maybe you can join one of those after you have something set up. All right, so Stephen, any topics you like to talk about?
Can't think of anything right at the moment, but if I do, I'll let you know.
Now, are you in school or what's up?
No, not right now. Like I said, I'm trying to focus more on finding a job right now, which I think I'm really close to getting one, I hope. I'm just still waiting on a couple more phone calls.
Yeah, this market is, I don't know about where you live, but in the Atlanta area, here's the strange thing. So in the Atlanta area, I think the unemployment rate is still, it's not terrible. It's below national average, but it's still high for Atlanta. However, I'm in the need to hire several accountants, and I'm having trouble finding anybody good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, those numbers don't jive. There's all these people unemployed, but yet I can't find anybody good. And, obviously, if you're hiring an accountant, you're looking for certain criteria, so it's not just anybody.
Right.
But still, it's difficult finding those people, which doesn't seem it would be. But if you're on the job hunting side, it's a difficult market.
Yep.
So good luck with that. Hopefully you get one
Appreciate it.
soon.
Just using the time off that I have right now just to, study stuff, photography-wise online, whatever I could find. I'll just read that.
Yeah.
Plus, I have other friends that help me out as well. They study photography. So.
Mm-hmm. So what got you into photography?
Jeez, man, it's been a long time.
It can't be that long. You're not. You're much younger than us.
Yeah, really. You didn't start with film, did you?
Well, I mean, because when I first got the first point you shoot, but
Yeah. So did you start pre-high school or did you start in high school?
like I said, when I first got my D3100 and I started doing most of my big stuff, it was like, I was already in high school. Yeah.
Okay.
It was like,
So that's what really got you into photography is once you hit.
yeah. And plus, once I, because my dad was the one who originally told me about y'all's show, and then, I came on and then, and started hanging out with y'all and just started learning from there, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, glad we could help.
Yeah.
Well, I can see, with your train photos that, you're definitely, if you look at the beginning, from the first one I saw to where you are now, you can see the improvement that's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's part of what the JPEG to RAW means is we all start at different places and we all can improve. No matter how good you are, you can still improve.
Yeah.
And that's just constantly trying to get better.
Yeah.
And I can definitely see it in your work.
Yep. Like I said, I don't always shoot RAW. It seems like I'm always flipping back between JPEG and then RAW.
Yeah, and I don't mean to say that.
It depends on what particular subject it is, you know.
Yeah, and I don't mean to say that you part of the improvement has to be you go to RAW.
Right.
It's more of a symbolism in the name than it is a rule.
Uh-huh.
Well, in speaking, going back and forth, have you noticed it easier to edit RAW pictures now that you're using Lightroom?
Uh-huh. Yep.
I mean, that's really, in my mind, what pushed me over the edge from shooting just in JPEG to shooting in all RAW. It was because I convert everything. Personally, I convert everything to a DNG format when I import it into Lightroom. I think, Mike, you still keep it in the RAW format, correct?
Yeah, I just can't bring myself to do that.
Yeah, I do it.
I can't bring myself to convert it to DNG. I just have this fear. So you convert. Let me ask you this, Tim. You convert it to DNG. What happens to the RAW file? Is it just gone? Is it?
Yeah, I don't keep it.
Wait. You don't keep it.
I don't keep the RAW file.
Could you if you wanted to?
Yeah, you could, because you don't have to. You don't have to delete the actual file. It's staying on my camera at that point. So on the card at that point, it's not deleting it from the card.
Okay, so hey, maybe this is a good thing to talk about. So when you stick your card into your reader, you Lightroom, you go to download it, and at that point, as it's downloading, it's doing the conversion.
Correct.
So the only thing that's hitting your hard drive is the DNG.
Correct, because it's copies as DNG.
If you wanted to keep the RAW, you'd have to re-import.
Correct.
Okay. Now, of course, if somebody like you who's doing that conversion, you'd probably ask me, why on earth would I want to keep the RAW if I have the DNG?
Exactly.
and I guess I am just, I guess I'm kind of setting my ways in some way, and I
don't worry. We've converted you previously. Well,
you converted me to using manual a lot, and now I'm kind of stuck. So here's what you do to me though when you do that is now I'm going to use manual even when I really shouldn't.
Yes.
Because I flipped over to that, and now I'm going to mess up and use manual all the time. But I am enjoying using manual, even if I mix in auto ISO every now and then to make it not quite as manual.
It is a learning process. That's how I look at this.
But I cannot bring myself to doing the DNG conversion. I know previous guest Scott Green does the same thing. He converts it to DNG.
Mm-hmm. I got to think Adobe's going to be around for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, especially if I'm about to buy into the creative.
Yes, if you're going to the cloud.
I guess I'm kind of committing myself to them too. But gosh, I just don't
That's
know.
really how I looked at it, and they're trying to make it that open standard, and I really would love to have other manufacturers start to go over to it. And I think there are some, I don't know who it is, but I thought I had read that there are some camera manufacturers that actually their RAW format is DNG. Now, I'm not sure who it is, and I'm not sure where I read that. I should probably do a quick Google search and see if I can find that. But if some people are going to start doing that, that would be great.
Okay, so I'm actually looking. Maybe I should do a screen share so people can see this. But why isn't it seeing my card? That's not good.
All right, about 12 camera manufacturers have used it. So who is it?
I'm gonna do a screen share here. Let's see if I can get this to work. All right, so here's this. I'm going to go to just this, and then I'm going to go import. Wanted to find my card. Crap. Wait, undo the card and restick the card in there. See if it sees the card. Yeah, maybe not. So where is it that I'm telling it to convert to DNG?
Well, when you get to import, it'll give across the top. It'll give you those selections as copy, move, copy. It'll say copy as DNG, copy, move, or add.
Oh, up here. up here. I don't know if y'all can see that.
Yeah, it should be at the very top.
Yeah, for some reason that's not showing up, is it?
I don't see it.
Nope.
That's weird. I don't see it on your screen share.
Yeah. So there you can see a bunch of images, but you're not seeing that top part. So okay, I think
Well, are you in import?
I am.
Now, do you have the full size import, or you? I don't see that little tool.
Why
Oh,
are
you
you
know
guys?
what? Oh, you know what? I bet you it's not showing the import screen here. It's just showing your Lightroom main screen.
You're right. It's not showing the import screen at all. That's
Yeah, the screen share is not showing. Unless when you do screen share, can you select another window? Now that you're in import, is there another window appearing?
yeah. Let's try that. So I will unscreen share. Screen share again. Nope.
Wow, I'm surprised.
I guess that's an overlay and it just won't do it.
Yeah, it's an overlay, so it doesn't show. That's it.
Okay, but I saw where it was doing it, and what it is at the top. It says copy as DNG.
Correct, and that's where I do it from.
Okay. All right. Well, so tell me, why would I want to do that?
Well, I think a couple of reasons I liked it. Instead of keeping the raw format, when you have a raw format, it's keeping two separate files for you, correct? It's copying the raw plus the sidecar file. The DNG is combining that already into one file. So now you have one less file on your computer to possibly get lost. I think I just like the fact that it's going to be around hopefully forever. As long as Adobe's around, that format's going to stick around. Is there any other reason? Probably not. And it still keeps it in the raw format. I mean, I'm still able to edit in Adobe Camera Raw the same way as if it was a raw format.
Okay, so does it add any speed improvements or anything?
You know, I couldn't tell you if there was a speed improvement. That I couldn't tell you. I do know I am going to be building a new computer soon for a better speed, but that's a whole nother story.
Oh, one of the things I forgot to mention. So the thing about doing the Creative Cloud thing and getting all those pieces of software, which is a ton of software, along with that, I'm going to buy an SSD.
Yeah, I saw you had posted to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy an SSD and put all the stuff on that SSD. So, you know, you get Photoshop, Lightroom. Well, Lightroom not yet, but I have Lightroom. So Photoshop, Lightroom, Adobe Premiere, Audition, which is a sound thing, After Effects, all those different programs. I'm gonna stick them on an SSD, and then it will just be blazing fast.
Well, I'll tell you, my plan is when I build my. Right now I have a couple of SSDs in this computer, and I would never go back to a spinning hard drive again for my main system. But my main drive is 120 gig, and I'm using right now 110 gigabytes of that 120. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go up to a 256 on the next one.
My main one is 120 gig also in SSD for this system here, and I'm not quite as bad as you, but it's getting close. So by getting a special drive just for all the Adobe products, that will free up room on that drive.
Matter of fact, it is now telling me there's 4.3 gigabytes of free space. So that's not making me feel all that good.
No.
So I hear you on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something yet again. But my plan is in the next couple of weeks to rebuild this computer and give this one to my son so that he has a computer and I have a brand new one again. Which there's nothing wrong with that for me. Of course, my wife says, "Building another one again, aren't you?" Yes, I am.
So I don't know what happened to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, if you're out there, we're coming close to the time when we're probably going to be shutting this thing down. Coming up on the hour, but we'd love to hang out with you if you can come in and we can talk about your new D800 before we have to head it out. So while we're waiting to see if anybody else is going to come in, this Thursday I am doing a pre-show interview with Buck. What is his? Don't know what his last name is. Buck something. What is Buck's last name?
Buck stops here.
What'd you say?
Buck stops here.
Okay. that's not his name, but I don't know what his name is.
It's probably. Let me see if I can.
Wildlife photographer. Named Buck. That just sounds. They couldn't have named him better, could they? Parents did a great job there. So I'm looking up his name. But we're going to do a pre-show interview this this Thursday, which unfortunately means that I'm not going to be able to go take photos of my son's swim team. It's just Buck Schreck, Shreck. Buck Schreck.
How'd you forget that?
I don't know. I guess I should have remembered from the movie Shrek. I just didn't. But he will be our first wildlife photographer on the show, and I know, Tim, you're interested in that. I'm interested in that. He does a lot of trips up to Alaska, shooting bears and moose and all that kind of stuff, eagles. I think that's going to be a fantastic interview. And then who do we have coming up after that? We got Buck. We have to take off the first week in July because I've got something happening. I can't make it. Then we've got no guests for the 10th, which we every once in a while want to have no guests so we can do things like this where we have a little bit of hangout. We can discuss things, maybe go back to some of the basics and talk about exposure or things like that. Just every once in a while leave a little open space. And also helps if we got to move some guests around. Sometimes, like tonight, guests have things that come up, then they have to change their schedule at the last minute. So after that, we have Michelle Anderson from Pinkle Toes. Then we have Stacy Jensen, who has wrote 3 or 4 articles for the website, and she's very active on Facebook. Then we have a fantastic wedding photographer couple. Sposa Bella is the name of their company. They're coming at the end of July. Then in August, first week in August, we have the president of Shoot.edit coming on.
That is cool.
Yeah. So, and we have, trying to stay about a month to 2 months out of booking guests. So now I need to start booking guests and fill up August. So we have that buffer. And I can tell you, so anybody who's listening, if you're listening later, it's recorded, Kathleen and I had a little contest going at first. Remember that?
Oh, I know you're crushing her by now.
Well, we had a little contest going, and I jumped out to an early lead. It was like 2-0. She came blowing past me, and it got to, I think we finished at like 6-6. And it was really close. Then one of her people backed out. So if your guest doesn't show up, you lose. It doesn't count. We lost that guest, and she booked somebody else. So, but now the score is Kathleen 7, Mike 14.
Oh boy!
Wow! Wow!
So, and I gotta see if that even. Yeah. So that is a current count. 14-7, Kathleen. So. Yeah, you better get busy because I'm going to fill up August and then we'll start moving into there. All right. Anything else, guys?
Not at the moment. Next time I try to come on here, I'll try to have more of a planned out agenda.
That's fine. This is the more of the open thing. And I've mentioned this before. I mentioned this earlier in the show too. And I want to have more of an open hangout. It's not part of the regular podcast, but just the hangout,
right? Where
we can just come on and chat. It's a good supplement to the forums. There's often a lot of questions in there, and we can do some screen sharing. Although you saw tonight, screen sharing doesn't always work, but we can do some screen sharing and help each other out that way. And if you have a Dropbox account, this is one thing we haven't got into, but I like to come up with some ideas to keep the Facebook group active. And one thing that would be interesting to do is share your photo and let different people edit it. See how different people would edit the photo. And one way, if you wanted to you may not want to give a full-size image. I would not be probably sharing images that you someday want to sell. Yeah. There's going to have to be something else because you're going to sell it. You probably want to make sure you got tight control over that file. But if it's something that you don't mind, sharing with others, one way to share that full-size file is with a Dropbox account. Either one of you guys use Dropbox?
Oh, absolutely.
Heard of it.
I love Dropbox. I share files from work to home. And actually, I have a lot of my Excel files that I know I'm going to be using at home. I save them in the Dropbox. So when I get home, I just pull it up, work on it here, save it, and when I go back into work, it's there again. But you,
Yeah,
but
but see, for me, that I'm a little locked out on that with my job. I can't install the Dropbox application. You're probably able to do that on your work computer, so you can sync between the two folders.
yeah,
Myself, I have to log into it, and then it's a pain in the neck.
yeah, that is. But Stephen, what it basically is an online folder that looks like if you go to Windows Explorer, your file system, and I
Right.
imagine same thing in the Mac, it just looks like another folder. And I can create a new folder and call it Steven or whatever I want to call it, invite you, and then now I share that one folder with you, and we can put files back and forth in that one
Nice.
folder. You can't see the other folders I have because maybe they're private to somebody else, but that one folder we can share back and forth. So if you're not a member of Dropbox, it's something worth looking into. Well, Elizabeth, we're so sorry we missed you tonight. Really wanted to talk about your D800, and we'll be watching the Facebook group for you to post stuff about your new D800. And if you're not a member of the Facebook group, if you listen to us on Stitcher, watching us on YouTube, or getting us from iTunes, something like that, think about joining the Facebook group. There's a lot of good conversation going on there. It's a growing group. It continues to grow. I'm out there quite a bit. Kathleen's out there some. Tim occasionally posts something.
Occasionally?
Yeah, occasionally posts something. And Stephen is out there too. So it's a good group to talk with and learn from. If you are getting us from iTunes, think about leaving a comment on iTunes. Those comments help us move up in the rankings, and we can definitely use the help there. If you're listening to us on Stitcher, I've said this so many times, but if you want something other than the audio version, we do have 2 video feeds that you can get in addition to the audio version. I generally, for a lot of podcasts I actually end up getting both. I'm actually, like for some of the other podcasts like Twit and those kind of ones I'm actually getting the video feed, but I'm listening to it in the car. I'm not watching it. I'm not watching podcasts while I'm driving.
I hope not.
But I am listening to it, and one of the reasons I've done that is that if I do have a chance to watch it, then I'll watch it. So let's say I get home and I want to watch it, then on my phone I'll watch it. If not, if I'm going to get through with it, in the show, then in the drive, I'm driving to work, driving home, and I'm finished the show, then it's just going to auto delete. The one thing with our show is a lot of times we're showing off photos, so it helps if you can see them. But obviously we don't want you to be watching the show while you're driving into work or driving wherever else. You want to be cautious of the other drivers. So, but we are happy to have our Stitcher listeners. Ever since I've added it there, we've got some good traction from Stitcher, and a lot of fans out there that are joining listening to the show. So we thank you guys. And Tim, thank you for coming out tonight.
Not a problem. Glad it wasn't yesterday. I wouldn't have been here.
Yeah, you were sick yesterday, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely sick.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty even more boring than tonight's show if it had just been me. Tim was, I said earlier, we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary. Tim joined early, not from show number 1, but show number 4, and has been a great help ever since. In those early days, it was just him and I. Then we started getting some guests, and then we started, Kathleen came in, and we've kind of developed into our own little thing. I'm more of the producer. I do talk, but the producer, Tim's more, he's keeping all the notes and keeping us straight there, and Kathleen is the mouth.
Yes.
Yep.
Again, I can say all that because Kathleen's not here.
And we definitely want you coming back, Kathleen, so don't worry.
Yeah, we definitely want you coming back. But if you haven't seen last week's show, I did a little 2-minute or so outtakes from some of the funny parts. Most of them, I think some of them are from the actual show.
Oh boy.
But some of them were from the pre-show. It's 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Yeah, so if you haven't seen that, you gotta watch it. It's on our Facebook page. It's on out on YouTube too. So go to one of those places and watch it. It's pretty funny. Stephen, thank you for coming out into the Hangout with us tonight.
Not a problem.
Always nice to talk to you,
Stephen.
Stephen being a longtime listener, longtime member of the Facebook group, and one of the winners of our Lightroom giveaway. It was a pleasure to talk to you tonight, Stephen.
And I'm glad we converted you over to liking Lightroom too.
Like I
I don't
said,
know how
it's
much. I
probably
don't know how much we had to convert him. I think he wanted it, but I'm glad. I'm glad you were one of the winners because it sounds like you're making great use out of it.
oh yeah. Yeah, every time I shoot something, I always edit with it. So probably the
All
best
right.
out there.
Well, awesome. Well, I don't know if we have anybody left out in chat or if it maybe was just us the whole night. um, Again, we're sorry if for Mitch and hope that everything is okay with him. We will, as soon as he can and he can contact us, we'll be working with Mitch to reschedule a date. And when we do, I'll post it on the Facebook page. Mitch is a just absolutely fantastic landscape photographer, all in black and white. And one of the things I want to ask him, remind me of this, Tim.
Okay.
I was watching one of his videos, and they're showing him from behind as he's taking his landscape. And I could have sworn that the image on the back of his LCD was in black and white. I paused the video, went back in the video, and froze it right there. And sure enough, the image on the back of his LCD was in black and white. And when
Okay.
I want to ask him, what he must be shooting in black and white.
Wow.
So the question there is, can you do that in RAW? I know you can shoot black and white in RAW, but RAW is going to ignore the black and white when you import it into Lightroom. But I can't remember if the image on the back of the screen shows you black and white or shows you color. I know if you shoot black and white in JPEG, it will show you black and white. So that's one of the questions I want to ask him. Is
Well,
he
maybe he's shooting JPEG plus RAW.
Maybe he is. And what is he shooting? And I imagine the reason, but I want to hear, from him, the reason he's shooting in black and white and seeing that on his LCD is because that's what his output's going to be, and he wants
to know what it's going to look like
he
before.
wants to know what it's going to look like. Yeah.
I'm surprised he doesn't have an extra monitor with him then, just to hook up to the camera at that point.
Well, you should see some of the shots he's having to take where he's running out into a field, taking some photos, and then running back into the car before the lightning strikes.
Yeah, okay. I guess you don't. You're not looking for that then.
Yeah, there's no chance for that. But he is fantastic. Hopefully, we can get him booked real soon again and come on, and he'll be our first black and white photographer and our second storm chaser.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so we'll see you guys next week when we have Buck Shrek on, who is a wonderful wildlife photographer, our first wildlife photographer. So make sure to make next week's show with Buck. We'll see you next week. Hold on,
Okay.
guys. Hold on, guys.